On today's show, we are going to the heart of enemy territory, downtown Toronto, where we find our SensCentral Citizen, Andrew.
Andrew gives us a survival guide for Sens fans living in the heart of enemy territory, some nostalgic moments from the past, and how he sees this roster for this season.
We'll get into all that and more on today's Locked On Sens.
I'm Jake Sanderson.
I'm Tim Stützle, and you're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
You're Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome! You are locked on to the Ottawa Senators, the only daily podcast covering the Sens. On the outskirts of enemy territory, I'm Ross Levitan, alongside Brandon Piller up in the Blue Mountains. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. You can also follow the show on social media. We're at SensCentral on Twitter, LockedOn.Senators on Instagram. The show is available everywhere you get podcasts, including on YouTube, where you can see me almost spill my coffee. Today is Wednesday, August 21st, and Pilsy, just 3 weeks until Sens rookies report, but seems like it's already a packed house at the CTC after that video we saw the Sens release yesterday.
Ross, it is crazy how little Sens fans need to get excited about the season. How long was that video? 30 seconds?
22, but who's counting?
Okay, 22 seconds, and I was fired up seeing Brady. Shabby was working hard. He was moving that medicine ball.
Nothing on his wrist either. He's ready to go.
Yep, you love to see that. It was a simple, easy video, but it clicked, and Sens fans loved it. And that's honestly, the Senators need to understand that all they need to do is dangle a couple carrots, put a little crumb trail for us leading to the regular season, and we will go nuts. So well done. I'm stoked for the season. Let's hurry it along here to October.
Well, Sens admin understood the assignment too. It finished off with Zub flashing a little peace sign. Like, come on.
Fans.
You know what didn't go unnoticed either? The fact that Carter Yakimchuk is spending the summer in Ottawa. I think that's huge. Get him on the ice with Shelly Kettles as much as possible around a pro environment, being able to see how Jake Sanderson handles the day-to-day of being a true pro, getting up, getting his smoothie in him at 6 a.m., and just being around the NHL atmosphere. I think it's going to be a huge benefit when he steps onto the ice for rookie tournament September 13th.
Well, Ross, he's got to get acclimated with the Ottawa area for World Juniors, right? He's got to know where he's going to get his coffee, all those things, what the best traffic routes are. So that's just smart.
That is smart. Very, very well-educated young man. Our guy Carter Yakimchuk is hopefully going to be able to get into a preseason game or two. That could be fun if they choose to go that direction. I can't wait to see who he's paired with on day one of camp. Maybe it's the guy he was riding the bike with on the video, Jorian Donovan, another guy who really accelerated his stock last season. And he's obviously an Ottawa guy, so he's around the rink as well. So love that from the Sens content team. Hopefully we get more of it as we approach the 2024-25 season, where I don't want to say I'm going in with no expectations, but I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good on August 21st. Remind me of that November 15th.
We'll leave it at that. Feeling good.
Feeling good.
Leave it at that. Yes.
That's the slogan. Well, hey, I felt good talking to Andrew, too. We love having citizens on every week throughout the summer. Want to keep this train rolling, and the passion that we are seeing is unparalleled within the hockey fan sphere. So best in class fans, and Andrew's another one of them. We got over a half hour coming. Hope you enjoy our conversation with our SensCentral Citizen. Here is Andrew. All right, we now welcome on this week's SensCentral Citizen. We are heading to the heart of enemy territory, where we find Andrew Stein. Welcome to Locked On Senators. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, guys. It's long-time listener, first-time caller.
Nice.
Well, hey, just from talking with you for a couple minutes, we can tell the passion for the Ottawa Senators is all the way up here. Why and how did you become an Ottawa Senators fan?
Good call.
Well, I'm old enough to remember a time when there was no Senators. So my sister's boyfriend at the time was a Habs fan. So my first ever sports memory is the Habs winning in '93. I've obviously left that way behind in the time since. And then in the mid '90s, I was in a transitionary period. And then all of a sudden in grade 7, they made the playoffs for the first time in 1997. And it was just everywhere. It was on the front cover of the newspaper. Everyone was talking about it at the schoolyard. They're bringing it up in the school announcements, the score from last night's game. I remember at Greenbank Middle School in Ottawa, they would actually play the Duchesne call over the PA in the morning. And I was just hooked immediately. Just the way that community came together, and without getting personal, it was a time in my life where I was looking for a community, and it was just awesome. And then we made the playoffs 11 years in a row, so I never had to go through a dry spell
until now. But that's the key, is the Sens need to align their playoff success with age groups, because when you're young, if you start cheering for a team that doesn't do well, you're like, well, what am I doing? I don't want to cheer for a team that's not good. But if they're good, they got you for life. So I loved to hear that, Andrew. When was your first live Sens game? When did you get out to a game?
I can specifically remember it was the 2000-2001 season. It was a 4-2 loss to the Pittsburgh Penguins. Jan Hrdino with 2 goals for Pittsburgh. But my primary memory of that game, we were down 4-1. Just a couple minutes left in the third period, and Marian Hossa just got this, like, the Jets going right through the slot, scored this amazing breakaway goal. I didn't care that I knew the game was out of hand. Right. Like, the whole crowd just went nuts. Horn went off. And I think you can have that kind of confidence as a fan. It was like, you know what? We lost the battle today, but the war is still very much in our hands, and we're near the top of the standings and whatnot. I still have the ticket stub in my Alfie shadow box. It's got Alfie right on the ticket stub.
Well, I can tell you it's December 5th, 2000. If we're talking about the same game, because they lost 4-2. Marian Hossa scored with 52 seconds left in the game on the power play, assisted by friend of the show, Jamie Rivers, as well. Maybe is one of his only points with the Sens, but like, looking back at those rosters, man, it was kind of like the beginning of the climb to being a perennial year in, year out contender outside of Daniel Alfredson, because we'll show the rest of your room. There's already a framed Alfie jersey on the side. Who were the other initial Senators that made you fall in love with the team?
This is going to sound ridiculous. I loved saying Sergei Zholtak's name.
Okay.
Magnus Arvidsson was one of my favorites when I was a young kid. Obviously Duchesne, Tugger. Like, oh, he's got beer on his goalie helmet. Like, that's so adult, right? So yeah, I loved the goalies. Big Wade Redden fan. I was a much bigger Mike Fisher fan then. We don't need to get into it now, but the way that guy played, like, was just like, you couldn't grow a more ideal third liner in a lab than Mike Fisher during his Sens days. Chris Neal, of course, and then Alfie. I mean, who doesn't love Alfie? I think even here in Toronto, people are like, yeah, okay, Alfie was the bomb, you know. But,
they get it. Now, Andrew, you strike me as a jersey guy. You're wearing a jersey. I see 3 jerseys behind you.
Yeah, what gave that away, Piller?
What do you remember? I feel like you're the kind of person that would have like a core memory of your first jersey or something. Do you
core
have
memory? It's hanging in my closet right there.
Okay, let's hear the story.
Hang on.
Yeah, bring it out.
Here we go. A little
awesome.
show and tell. Make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube, wherever you get your podcast.
My first Sens jersey, signed by the entire 2002-2003 team.
And you just so happen to be the captain.
Yes, actually.
Hey, there it is.
9th grade. Somehow it still fits, and I'm 40 now.
Wait, is that number 7? You're ahead of your time. A number 7 captain jersey for the Ottawa Senators.
You know, I've never actually put that one together until just now. I try not to wear this one, but I can tell you right now, there's Chris Neal, Rob Ray, Mike Fisher, Andre Waugh, Wade Redden. Sorry, that's Chris Neal. That's Yanni Herme. 15 would be Peter Schaefer.
Sign it. That was the year they won the President's Trophy. That's a great, iconic year, 2003.
Oh,
that to me is the best team they ever had.
Of course, Alfie on the C. I agree.
Oh, nice touch.
You know what was really cool is the way I got all those signatures was the players would actually sign autographs for fans waiting at the parking lot after the game. So specifically after the game against the Islanders, I believe it was game 2, we went out to the players' parking lot and all of them except for 2 stopped and signed autographs for us. 3-0 win, Patrick Lalime with the shutout. This was 2003, so Yashin was gone.
Okay.
The only 2 that didn't stop was Spezza. He was a scratch that night.
21 years later. I love it.
He did make a right turn and then burned out through the parking lot the other way. 18-year-old kid. I mean, come on, right? It's no big deal. And I believe, actually, Alfie didn't stop, but that's because his wife was, I believe, 8 months pregnant at the time. Didn't hold that one against him either.
Yeah.
Okay. And for whatever reason, Big Z didn't stop. But I got Alfie's
Redden guy.
No, but that's why he's a Redden guy. No, maybe his eyesight, he's just so tall, he couldn't see anyone below a certain level. We'll give him a pass too, because if I was being the citizen right now, that was one of my first favorite Senators, was watching Zdeno Chara just dominate. Hope you're enjoying our conversation with Andrew. We'll get right back to it. But first, Pilsy's got a word from one of our favorite sponsors.
Yes, today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Mary J's. Mary J's is a locally owned cannabis dispensary in the Ottawa area. Started off with 3 best friends going after their dream, and through hard work and dedication, they now have 4 stores in the Ottawa area. You can check them out at Riverside South, Orleans, Greeley, and Russell. Ross and I have been to the Orleans store. It is awesome. Mary J's offers the best and newest products in the market. They got new stuff added to the menu every week to keep it fresh. They have everything you need. Whether you're a rookie looking to try out some stuff, or you're a grizzled vet, you know what you want to be in and out of there quickly, they got you. Mary J's offers competitive pricing. In fact, guys, they're going to price match any store in Ottawa. It's a no-brainer to go to Mary J's because you're going to get the best price around. Mary J's also has the best customer service with the friendliest bud tenders who are always ready to help you out. One of the owners, Dashy, absolute beauty, diehard Sens fan. You can usually find him at one of the locations. Go to one of their stores, say what up to Dashy, and pick his brain about the Sens and all the latest, greatest products that Mary J's has to offer. Check it out today, guys. Mary J's Dispensary.
Today's episode is also brought to you by our good friends over with Indeed. If you need to hire, you need Indeed. Indeed is the hiring platform when it comes to getting the top candidates, and quickly as well. Indeed has over 350 million global monthly visitors and matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast, according to Indeed data. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. 93% of employers agree that Indeed gives the highest quality matches compared to other job sites, according to a recent Indeed survey. So join the over 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. We're driven by the search for better, but when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate is to not search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. Because you listen to Locked On Sens, you're going to get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/lockedon. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on Locked On Senators. Indeed.com/lockedon. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. All right, here's more with our SensCentral Citizen, Andrew. You came on board at quite the time. I know that you'd seen them kind of from the initial expansion, but when they were making playoffs every single year, why was the 2003 team for you better than 06 or 07?
That's a tough call. I think Patrick Lalime was really underrated as a goalie, especially when his career ended with the 2 Nieuwendyk bombs from the faceoff dot.
Yeah.
But like you look at his stats, I don't know if it's still the case, but for years and years, he had the all-time best playoff goals against average for any goalie in the history of the NHL with a minimum of 40 games played. He may have been supplanted since then, but that guy was money. The problem with the Sens in those days was they just couldn't score when it counted, right? I see a lot of parallels with how the Sens were built then. That's how the Leafs are built now, right? Where you've got a lot of insane talent at the top of the lineup, and you just don't have those, I hate to throw out Leaf names, but those Darcy Tucker, Gary Roberts, or in modern Sens parlance, those Brady Kachucks, hopefully a David Perron.
What about Travis Green? You can throw him in the mix there.
Exactly, right? And so I'm not sure if that answers your question, but for the 2003 team, I really felt like they finally had the chutzpah or the guts to kind of really make those last minute plays, lock down the defensive zone effectively. I have like fond memories of Sean Van Allen scoring that overtime goal. They seem to be able to hold the game in hand. And I'm not sure that was as much the case in 2006. You had the adversity with Hasek being out with the adductor injury and whatnot, and something wasn't there. The confidence wasn't there like it was in 03, 07. I mean, 03, you don't get closer without getting there than that one, right? And I mean, are they one of the most successful President's Trophy winning playoff teams of the last since the 2000s? Like, how many even make the Eastern Conference Final?
Let alone Game 7 tie game with 2 minutes left. Yeah, I mean that's a fair point there. To answer your question, by the way, Patrick Lalime, goals against average for playoffs, goalies with at least 40 games. He's second. A guy named Dave Kerr, who was born in 1910, is your number. So get this. Dave Kerr had a 1.74 goals against average and was 18 wins and 19 losses in the playoffs.
That's the pre-original 6 era is insane. To add one more point as well for the 2000.
I want that point, but we got to give a shout out to Ottawa legend Alex Connell, the all-time lowest goals against average in the playoffs. Original Ottawa Silver 7, 1.19 goals against average.
I've seen photos of that guy. His goalie mask. I need to see like a Halloween type slasher movie with the guy.
You could score on him easy. 2003 team.
The other reason is that team went bankrupt. They missed a paycheck that year, and they still won the President's Trophy and still went on that run. And
for the love of the game.
That speaks to more than anything the passion of the players that they had at that time, that they were there to win. They put distractions aside and got to work. And that's the one that hurts the most. More than 2017, more than 2007. It was the 2003 one for me.
That's an excellent point. The missing a paycheck. Wow.
They just wanted to get their bonus money back by winning the President's Trophy.
And then we were like, "All hail Melnick, our savior!"
Eagles concert.
Yeah. If the team's not going to pay us, the league is. Now, it seems like you got a really good memory of all the kind of playoff series. What is your favorite playoff series for the Ottawa Senators?
I'm gonna say, for pure dominance, it's got to be that Montreal one with the line brawl.
2013.
Yes, the fat bug-eyed walrus series. Paul McLean was so in Michel Therrien's head on that one. Also, that was the first.
He called a timeout at the end of Game 3 just to give his guys a minute, and Therrien lost it.
Yeah,
I was worried about player 61.
Yeah. Well, that was 5 minutes into Game 1, right? Like that's what set the tone. The hit on Lars Eller by Eric Greiba.
But a clinic, an absolute clinic. In terms of meaningfulness, it's got to be the Buffalo Eastern Conference Finals 2007, where we had been smoked by Buffalo, I think, every time we had played them until then, right? They beat us in 97. They swept us when we won the division in 99. We lost to them in 2006 when Hasek was out. Jason Pominville. So that one was just this cathartic release of all the demons are gone. And now we're on uncharted territory. It's got to be between those two for me.
I like it.
Yeah, that's great. Hey, I'll throw an honorable mention there, though, to the Boston Bruins series in 2017. Just
That's
like
fine.
the moments of having Clark MacArthur come back and score the series clincher and have two former Leafs score overtime goals in that series to beat Boston, and then the Leafs just have not beat Boston in the playoffs ever. Like, it was very poetic for sure the way. And wasn't it 3 overtime goals in that game? Because Bobby Ryan had one in Boston in overtime. Then you had Dion in game 2 and Clark MacArthur in game 6. And then the game they lost was double overtime. Sean Effin Corrali got the goal in that game. So that's about as close of a series as you can get.
I'm impressed. You're name dropping names I can't remember. So that's
what the reason why the Effin it comes from was they panned to Cam Neely after that goal, and he was shocked that it was Sean Corrali that scored, and you could read his lips. That's what he said to I think it was Don Sweeney or whoever the GM was there. So that one stuck out for me.
Well, and that series was so crazy. I've got it here. Every single game was a 1-goal game.
Yeah.
2-1, 4-3, 4-3, 1-0, 3-2, 3-2. Like, that was close.
Wait, was 1-0 the overtime loss? No, that was the game where Bobby.
No, they won that. They lost 2-1.
Was that in overtime?
Game 1. I don't. The website I'm looking at, I feel like I don't trust whether they get the OTs right or not, so I'm not sure. But the game 1.
Ref?
No, I don't even know. Champs or chumps.us. I don't know. I just
sounds like a reliable source.
Yeah, I just looked up Sens playoff history.
I got you here, Pilsy. It was not overtime. Bobby Ryan scored. Bobby scored with 5 minutes into the third period. So I may have lied there. Oh my goodness. How could I lie to the people? No, I didn't. Game 2, 3, and 6. Overtime wins.
Yes.
Double overtime loss in game 5.
If I may throw in on that series as well, and actually leading up to it, I don't know if you recall, but for about a month, it looked like we were on a collision course with the Leafs to play them in the first round. And you think we could have beat them? I think so. We had a much more veteran lineup at the time, and then you exercise that demon. But you know what? I'll take the team that has made life miserable for the Leafs and beat them as a consolation prize on that one. But I remember, I'm in Toronto and I'm like that loud, obnoxious Sens fan. And I'm like, oh my God, we're going to play in the playoff series. Oh, it's put up or shut up time for the team now, or I'll never hear the end of it.
Yeah.
And then, they lost in the first round as Leafs do. And we beat the team that has given them nightmares for 11 years. So.
Hope you're enjoying our chat with Andrew. We'll get right back to it. But first, Pilsy, tell us about one of our favorite sponsors.
Yes, today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. By now, you guys have heard us talk a lot about FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. They are the official sportsbook partner of the Locked On Podcast Network. Well, we got something a little different for you this time. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5, and that's going to get you a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Let's go. Then with a YouTube TV base plan, you're going to be able to watch every single regular season Sunday afternoon out of market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. So if you guys are stoked about the NFL season, I know I am. Big year coming up for my Bengals. I want to be able to watch every game. You can do that with FanDuel's help. So just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to download America's #1 sportsbook. Check it out today, guys. It's FanDuel.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to today's team. What's your expectation going into this season?
My expectation is right around bottom wildcard spots. If you put the gun to my head, I say they make it. I'm more concerned about who they have to leapfrog over the team themselves. I really like the moves that Steos has made. Allmark for Korpisalo and a late first is outright thievery. Yeah. And then the other moves I thought I find a lot of hockey fans these days look at trades in a vacuum where it's like, oh, we traded Jacob Chychrun for Nick Jensen, and I think it was the third, right? And in a vacuum, it's like, oh, you traded a 40-something point defenseman who's younger and blah, blah, blah. It's like, but no, you have to take into account, what are you going to have to pay Chychrun later? And does he fit in on the roster itself now? So you got to look at everything on an overall. And as an overall, like, I think David Perron's an upgrade on Matthew Joseph in terms of what this team needs. I think these players are going to be a year older. I like the jealousy factor with Brady. I think they're going to play with a lot more confidence with a very recent Vezina winner in net. I think Forsberg will improve with a more reasonable workload.
Can't get any worse.
Forsberg could get worse. I don't know if Korpisalo could. But compared to his history in Ottawa, he's got a top 10 save percentage for Sens goalies all time, right? So yeah, I like Forsberg as a backup, and I like the idea of Sogard the year after. I think it's the right coach for this team. I think DJ and Jacques were more focused on, let's get these players developed and turn them into professionals, and don't worry about the mistakes, buddy. We're going to put you right back out there, and you're going to just get experience. We're past that now. And I think Travis Green, I had to be talked off the ledge at the beginning, right? Because you look at his record and it's like, oh, he's got like a .450 winning percentage or something like that. At Forber Leaf, there was these more high-priced options available out there. But then he's just come out and said all the right things. He's appeared on like these podcasts, and that's what Sens fans have been talking about, that what they want to see from the team and the coaching staff. I like our chances of being competitive with Boston and Tampa. I think 1 and 2 are probably pretty locked up by Florida and Toronto. I have no idea how Boston does it with Charlie Coyle as a number 1 center. Tampa's gotten older. They lost Stamkos.
Well, they got Elias Lindholm, so that'll be interesting to see how he's utilized there. But
exactly. I mean, didn't Charlie Coyle outscore Elias Lindholm last year?
I feel like that was a down year for Lind. I feel like the trade kind of stalled him a little bit. But yeah, that I don't think cup contending teams would be happy with Elias Lindholm as their number 1 center. So I get your point. Yeah.
Also, Jeremy Swayman not signed yet.
Yeah.
You're going to start the season with Korpisalo as your number 1? Like, clock's ticking there, guys.
And we just saw some offer sheets actually work. So our team's going to get frisky with that. I don't know.
Maybe, right? So I like our chances of being competitive with them. And I think no matter what happens, you're going to see 5 Atlantic, 3 Metro. I think we can be better than the Islanders, better than the Caps. And the top 3 in the Metro is pretty locked up, I think. So, but you never know. There's always surprises. Boston keeps surprising me. I've been expecting them to be terrible for about 4 years now.
Honestly, yeah.
We got to stop filling that bucket until it drops.
Yeah, exactly. Gun to my head, last wild card spot, but the season is not a failure if they're within, say, 3 points, 4 points.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where I'm at as well. Andrew, who is your X Factor player for the Ottawa Senators this season?
Got to be Nick Jensen, right?
Okay, that's the most popular answer. Go off.
I mean, we needed a top 4 right-hand D for a long time. We haven't really had it since DeMello left, and we need Shabby to have a steady partner. And we need, I think Sanderson and Zub is pretty locked in as like kind of that top middle, like top pairing, but also the defensive shutdown pairing. Those guys can skate, they can move the puck, and they complement each other really well. So you need to get the most out of your $8 million defenseman in Shabbat if you really want to have a shot at it. And that's Nick Jensen's job, is make Shabbat the best defenseman he can be. Maybe you flip Zub and Jensen, but either way, his job is make the guy on the left the best you can be. Also, I think he's been pretty durable, and we have had like just brutal injury luck. So having a little stability in the top 4 will be really key. I kind of love Travis Hamonic, but I know where he is in his career. And part of that role is keep Hamonic at 6'7" max, right? Like, That's where he's going to help you most. Fresh 8 minutes a night, mostly on the penalty kill. And that's a role that Nick Jensen plays, is right on top of that, keeping him in place. And I think also just that veteran leadership. I know he didn't win a cup with Washington, but he played with a lot of cup winners, picked up a lot of habits. So I think he can be a really good not partner, but mentor for a young guy like Cleven as well. That's my choice.
I like that. Well, with that, what's your hot take going into the season? That's a very rational take, the X factor. But now I want you to get a little crazy, have some fun with it. But I'm writing this down. And going into the season, we're going to look at all of our citizens and see what kind of hot takes are coming up. So what do you got boiling for us?
All right, give me a sec here. I have one in my head, and I don't know if I want to say it out loud.
Those are the best ones. Let it fly.
Let it fly. Let it fly. Max Gannett plays 40 games.
Okay.
Yeah. Injuries are a thing, guys, and he's been real good in the AHL. He basically bought Lassie Thompson his ticket out of town. Took over as the number one guy, won a playoff series. Do you want Hamonic in there, or do you want Gannett in there? I think Hamonic's greatest value is in the room, right? Maybe as a penalty killer. Max Gannett has a future in hockey, whether it's the NHL, whether it's one of the best AHL guys. But as soon as an injury comes up, I think he's going to be the first call up, and he's not going to let that go. He could be the Rourke Chartier of our defense this year.
So you've got him ahead of Matin Paolo as a call up?
I think so.
Yeah.
He's had enough success in the AHL to warrant that look. And I think he's going to turn some heads in training camp too.
So what about JBD? Where does Jacob Bernard-Docker fit into all this?
Well, if injuries happen, I think he's in the top 6 kind of by default, right? So I think he moves up, right? So, I don't want to throw out names. Oh, maybe this guy gets hurt, that guy gets hurt.
Yeah, of course.
Whatnot. But also, just looking at, I watched a lot of highlights of the Belleville run. It seems like Gannett's game fits a little better. I don't know how long JBD has a future in Ottawa. I mean, we waived him last year. With a similar management team in place. And I think he's more trade bait. I don't know if he finishes the season with Ottawa, to be honest. Right?
Yeah.
Maybe
a big year for him.
Yeah,
it is. Absolutely. It's put up or shut up time. You got drafted the same year as Brady. Brady's got over 400 NHL games now. JBD's 100 or so?
Yeah, right around 100.
Yeah.
And defensemen mature later and things like that as well.
Especially defensive, right? He could be a guy where 4 or 5 years from now, you're like, man, he's really steady. Sens could use a guy like that.
If it's up to me, I don't think you can put Cleven and JBD on the same pair. And how it's kind of lined up right now, that's too young, too inexperienced. And JBD, I think, is going to be the odd man out. I think Cleven fits more what this team's looking to do. Look at the guys they drafted, right? If Cleven was available in this year's draft, they would have picked him too, right? So,
yeah, definitely. Speaking of young defensemen, how did you feel about the Ottawa Senators draft? Were you, I don't know how dialed in you are to the draft, but were you excited about Yakimchuk? How are you feeling now?
Absolutely. We made a first round pick. That was wonderful to watch. Nice. Actually, a kid walking up to the stage and putting on the jersey. I haven't seen that in years. So I really like the, maybe you don't agree with what the management team is doing, but what I love to see is that they have a vision and they're putting it in practice, right? Mm-hmm. They're not hemming and hawing. And it's like, oh, well, we have this pick, but hey, there's DeBrincat. There's Chikrin, right? There's just a big name available and we can get them, right? And it seems like this management team is no, we have a style of team we want to build, and our draft absolutely reflected that. I love the idea of Gabriel Eliasson, and people get so oh, well, look at his stats. Oh, I would have drafted him in the 5th round, 6th round. You don't know. You don't know. I remember people freaking out, like, how did we not take Bobby Brink and Arthur Kaliev ahead of Shane Pinto? You wouldn't trade Shin Pinto for 4 of those guys now, right? So I love it. 30 goal, 6'2", right-hand shot defenseman, clearly the leader of his team. I loved the documentary that they did on the Breakaway channel on YouTube. Kid seems like he has a good head on his shoulders, wants to be here. Especially for a team like Ottawa, wants to be here is right above like the skills and things that you bring to the team, right? Because that's how you're going to stay competitive, is people who love this community and want to be here.
Well, you're also a big part of the community, Andrew. We didn't even mention that you're writing articles at the Hockey News right now. What can people expect coming up from you there?
Well, I really like to write my articles from the perspective of a Toronto-based Senators fan. I like to take more of a bird's eye view on things. My most recent article was, what are we going to lose with a new arena, right? So things Senators fans need to be prepared for, that like it's not all going to be a big party downtown. Like, parking's going to be worse. Ticket prices are going to go up. That building's going to cost almost $1 billion to build. And it's not coming all from Andlauer's generosity. It's going to come from you and me, right? In terms of other things that I've been thinking up is perhaps a all-time ranking of Sens captains, which I think you could get some interesting debate on there. A few months ago, I did an all-time ranking of the Sens first-round picks. Guess what? Alexander Daig was not last. The guy had 260 points in a career. You'd take that for your own kid.
Nice.
Yeah. Anyway. So yeah. And things just pop into my mind. Sometimes when I'm listening to you guys, I hear you guys discuss certain topics and I'm like, where's a take I can go with on that? And, yeah, I also am thinking of rewriting my Senators fan guide to life in Toronto. I wrote an article, not for the Hockey News a while ago. I want to resurrect that one. Like, this is the proper way to be a Sens fan in Toronto. You can be obnoxious, but you can also be kind at the same time, right? Like, be a member of your community.
What's number one? What's number one?
Well, for me is troll. But like troll.
He's under the bridge from the DVP onto the Gardner. You're just sitting there fishing, eh?
You troll, but be knowledgeable about the local team too. All right. And then you can have reasonable discussions with folks who live here, right? Like, you can admit that Austin Matthews is the best goal scorer in the NHL right now, right? And you can say, like, I have an opinion that putting the C on his jersey is not going to really change all that much. And I don't know if you want him to be your captain. But anyway, you can have these conversations with folks, and then they'll listen to you talk about your team, and they'll share more reasonable takes other than Sens suck. They've been terrible for 7 years. Like, those are the kind of discussions that take place on Twitter. In real life, be a friendly person. With that said, though, on the trolling thing, as you guys know, I work as a DJ here in Toronto. I want to share with you guys my all-time Leafs have lost in the playoffs playlist.
Let's hear it. I like it.
So I was doing a Jack Astor's when they lost Game 7, and I played. This was last year against Florida, so 5 games. I played OK Blue Jays the moment they lost. Got the whole bar singing along, right? Doing like the bat swing and everything. And it's like, well, we're all Blue Jays fans now, right?
Yeah.
And then I played You Can't Always Get What You Want by the Rolling Stones. And then I played Miami by Will Smith, and I got a few glares on that one. I did a wedding where the dance floor was empty because everyone was looking at the playoff game on their phone. That was another year. That one was, I played Sorry by Justin Bieber, and then Fallen Leaves by Billy Talent.
Nice.
That one helped because the bride was a Habs fan. So she's like, yeah. If they lose, troll my husband. I like that. And if you're trolling Leaf fans musically, they tend to have a more sense of humor about it.
Yeah, that's fair. Final question for me here, Andrew, and this has been awesome. I feel like you probably have lots that we haven't got into, so I will simply just hand the floor to you. Is there something you want to get into that we didn't stumble upon yet?
Honestly, no. I'm amazed at the amount of topics you guys come up with in the off season, the amount of effort you guys put into those draft lists. I'm of the opinion where I'm like, okay, the Sens have drafted this guy. Now I'm going to do the deep dive because I can't look at 100 names and oh, maybe they should get that guy, that guy. I can't get invested until the jersey's on them. Okay, here, I'll throw one to you guys. Okay. You think Ullmark signs midseason?
That'd be awesome.
Yes, I do.
I'll narrow it down. I think he signs during the Four Nations tournament break in February.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah.
Got to be before the trade deadline, I think.
Yes.
Some people say it should be before November.
That would be
what? I like the waiting.
If it goes off the rails.
I like the wait and see. We did this with a lot of other guys, and then you're trading them pennies on the dollar, or you're handing them a Colin White type contract or something like that. And then it's well, he wasn't really a fit ever
in the first place. Yeah.
Yeah. You trade a 7th for DeBrincat. Was he ever a fit? No, we were excited about the big name. Right. So you know what? Flexibility on both sides, but seeing that video of him meeting everybody. I love that he named his kid Harry after Harry Potter, and he's a D&D nerd. And he's like, when I'm not working out, I'm playing computer games. And he doesn't even call it PlayStation. He's like, I'm playing computer games. I picture him kind of over his desk,
and we're awaiting the best Linus Ullmark moment of the summer when the new helmet and gear drops, right?
Yeah, fun.
Goalie comes to a new spot. He's got a lot to work with. I feel like if you look at his Boston Bruins time, he did one where he copied the Byron Dafoe, where he had the stars on his pads and the old classic Byron Dafoe helmet. So I feel like he's going to take some history of the Senators and repurpose it. I know that Korpisalo had the little Martian over on the side, but we saw our guy Everyday Sens did the full mock-up with the Martian, or I think Ray Emery's got to leave to Ray Emery because he was the boxer. He was that. But I wonder what else in Sens history outside of just a Centurion helmet that he can be creative and do.
I got one to throw your way. This one's getting a little obscure.
What, Hasek?
No,
hey,
do you remember?
Give him the old Hasek helmet.
Oh, yeah. Just with the full face cage.
Yeah.
No, do you remember Tom Barrasso's helmet?
No, not with Sens.
Yeah, he actually had the striped jersey. It looked like fabric from the 30s with the red, white, and black. It was actually a gorgeous helmet.
And it's got it's got a gold O on the top. He was ahead of his time from the throwback.
Yeah. So
cool.
he may have been ornery and he may have cursed out reporters in the dressing room, but he had good taste in goalie helmets. So I could see Ullmark doing something like that, pulling back into history.
Let me see if I can get this up for the people who are watching. It's obviously from the year 2000, so it's a bit of a tough graphic, but you can kind of see it there.
Okay.
The red, black, white stripe with the gold O at the top. Yeah, I don't hate. How funny? Side note: how funny is the NHL 2000 patch they made everyone wear? To NHL with the zeros.
Yeah, that's weird. They tried, but it didn't work.
That was a swing and a miss.
The NHL was not a cool league at that time, I think. But
yeah, final question for me, Andrew. This has been great. Really appreciate you coming on, sharing your passion and love for the team, and I hope that this can be another step towards representing the Senators in the heart of enemy territory. We've been huge advocates on that. We're going to be waiting for your updated story. But if the Senators were going to bring out a third jersey, would it be A, the black one with the gold laurels that you're wearing right now, the red one we just saw Tom Barrasso wear with the Microsoft Paint splash and all that, or would you want something original, new that we haven't seen before?
Be right back.
Oh, we've got another show and tell. Again, you're listening to Locked On Senators. Make sure to subscribe on the YouTube.
Gotta be that one.
And he's pulling out the outdoor jersey they wore in Vancouver. The
Ross loves this jersey.
Heritage
with the cream.
I would grab mine. It's so dirty. I'm embarrassed to pull it up. So you got Zibanejad on yours. That's a great pull.
I gotta support my fellow DJ, right?
That's true. You DJs stick together. I got
that one would be my favorite.
Mine. You know why I'm against that though, Andrew? Maybe I'm just selfishly saying this. Stain's show on that one very evidently.
That is true, but I think you got to go historical. You've already got the Centurion on the home and the way. Go with the O. I would love it if they had a little fun with it and trolled us with like the original franchise pitch Ottawa Senators one.
Parliament,
And then maybe you rip it off like Hulk Hogan style to reveal the real one or something like that. But as fanware, I think that'd be like a great choice too, right? Like not on the ice, but make these jerseys like available for fans to get, like just in general, you know? And Fanatics has a lot of trust to build up. And that's a way they can do it, right? Is just bring back all these different vintage jerseys across all these different teams. Let fans choose the one they want to wear. But for on the ice, I got to go Stripes.
So good. Imagine that one's good. Picture the one that you're wearing right now, but with the 2D logo, like the old black with the gold trim, but the 2D logo. I think that would be awesome.
Same.
Gotta be that shoulder patch though.
Love that. That's
100%.
my favorite Sens secondary logo. I love that. The one, so people are just listening. It's got the Parliament Peace Tower, and then the city of Ottawa, and then the country Canada with the half a maple leaf. I love it. I think that's great. I think this has been great, Andrew. Really appreciate your insight, and thanks for doing this. We'll do it again down the road,
guys. Anytime. Sorry, I took up 36 minutes and 50 seconds of your time. No, it was a real pleasure, and from the outskirts of enemy territory, it's been a pleasure to be here.
Stick taps to Andrew for joining us. Really fun conversation with him. Pilsy, any final thoughts on today's show?
Final thoughts for me is I can't believe how awesome this off season's cast of SensCentral Citizens have been. I mean, Ross, like, I think each time we're like, well, you have your famous 10 out of 10. Great job on the interview, but all of these SensCentral Citizens have been 10 out of 10s, and we've gone unprecedented amounts of interview time with our SensCentral Citizens this offseason. So I just want to shout out Andrew and all the rest of the people that have joined us recently. It's been an absolute blast.
Wait, what do you mean 10 out of 10?
After every interview, you go 10 out of 10. Awesome.
No way, do I?
Yeah, you do. But they're all worthy of it. I'm not trying to water down that 10 out of 10 rating.
Should I start being like
Ross Levitan?
9 out of 10.
8.7 out of 10. Nice. But in all seriousness, it has been a best in class SensCentral Citizen offseason.
And we've got best in class Ring of Honors on deck. Who are the top playoff heroes in Senators history? Hold your comments until the episode comes out Friday. Yes. But it's going to be contentious, as well as a trip down memory lane. So hope you join us for that nostalgia on Friday. Next week, we've got Angus Crookshank on Monday. Absolute beauty. Great checking in with Crooker as always. For today, we say goodbye. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan. This has been another edition of the Locked On Senators podcast. Your team every day.